What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. Got my boy Jeremy in the house. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? It's good to be having a little dram today. Feeling it.
Yeah, me too. I needed this one. It's been a weird week. We're technically on break over here, and it's not much of a break when you're stuck in the house. Like the most we can do is go for walks and stuff like that, right? So
yeah, man, I'm feeling the COVID fatigue big time. Like today, driving home from work, there was a dump truck protest where like 150 dump trucks were driving like 10 kilometers an hour all on the major Toronto roads and just gridlocked the whole city. And like, I don't really know what the cause is. They're protesting something. I'm sure it's for a good cause because it's government regulation, probably some garbage.
yeah,
I don't know anything about it. I'm probably supportive of it. I don't know. But yeah, just frustrating to get all the way through the traffic today. It was just like so brutal. Like literally, they gridlocked the entire GTA.
that's brutal. That is.
And then I get in and I'm like, well, maybe I'll hit the dispensary up, chill after work. I go there. They're like, oh, we're only accepting online orders. You can't just buy stuff here. I'm like,
Wow.
pull up my phone. I'm like, here's my confirmation code. Can I just get some stuff, please? I'm just fed up, man. It's just too much. It's so annoying,
Yeah, Peter White's confirming your story, saying that he ran into one of these dump truck ordeals.
Yeah. Yeah, the dump truck brigade.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, we have some whiskeys tonight that actually I just realized that I poured the wrong one, so I'll put this to the side and I'll get one more glass. We're gonna reiterate what we did in our last live together. We're gonna talk about the marks that we gave some of these two brewers. I have some information to share with you guys. We deleted that last live because it somewhat got hijacked, I guess you can say, a little bit. There's some conversation happening about other stuff that wasn't relevant to Two Brewers. So
I mean, I don't know. I thought the conversation was completely fine. It just we were using too many curse words, and
yeah, well, that
you couldn't give it the PG rating, so it had to be kiboshed.
Yeah, that's no bueno for me, unfortunately. With being a teacher and all, I can't really I can't really have that.
Yeah, if it was my channel, I mean, it would be totally fine.
Yeah. Actually, we're good. I just realized I don't even have the release 21 here, so that's okay. So when we were live last talking Two Brewers, and I have a kind of a quick story that I'll talk about in a sec, but I just want to say hello to a few different people. We got Tyler in the house. We got Donner Pass in the house. We got Peter White in the house. Mood to Move. What's going on, man? Mark Saliba in the house.
What's up, guys?
All the regs. This is kind of a last minute thing, so I'm not expecting too many people to jump in. It didn't even ask me to make a thumbnail, which is, I thought, kind of weird.
Weird. Did you schedule this or no? Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I scheduled it, so maybe that's why. Either way. So we reviewed the release 19, which is the peated, the release 22, which is the one that won Whiskey of the Year, Canadian Whiskey of the Year, Canadian Single Malt of the Year. It tied Shelter Point's double barrel. And then we also reviewed this single cask, which is 11 years old. All right. So do you remember your marks for those three? We'll chat about that really quick before we get started on these other ones.
Yeah. So the batch 24 was my favorite for sure.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely delicious.
I
really scored it 89 out of 100. Yeah.
So it's cask strength, single cask. It's their classic single cask. So that they have 4 different lines. This is the classic. They have the peated. They have the innovative, and then they have is it 4? Yeah, peated, innovated, classic, and maybe I'm missing one. Maybe I don't have. Maybe there's only 3. I don't know. Probably messed that up. But yeah, so peated. Yeah, I think it's only 4. What's going on, Ben? How are you, buddy? Dribs and Jams in the house. P-Boss in the house. What's going on? Two Wheels Down just celebrated a birthday, and he's saying, sup nuttax. Let's get this review going. Yeah. So, do you remember the peated? Do you remember what you scored the peated?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the other two, I was both 87 on the other two that we tried that night. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jeremy was 87 on the release 19, 87 on the release 22, and 89 on the release 24. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, release 19 is peated. Release 22 is innovative. So that's the one that won or tied for first single malt of the year, Davin's Canadian Whiskey Awards. And then this batch 24, release 24, wasn't even entered because it was too late by then. Really, really good stuff. You gave it an 89. I gave it a 90. And I gave the release 19 and 89, I believe. And the release 22, I gave, I want to say, an 86 or 87. I think that was the only one that I was a bit lower on, the 22. I really liked it, but not as much as the others. Tonight, I'm going to give a quick review to this release 17, which is a mix of rye and barley. Then this release 18, which is cask strength, single mash. This one is, okay, so single mash, maybe that's the fourth kind. That's the fourth type. And then also going to do the 23, which is a mix of sherry port casks, and it's lightly peated as well. All right, so I'm going to review all three of those. We're going to talk a little bit about Two Brewers. But I thought this was a cool email I got from the rep in Alberta. He sent me some pictures. Now, you're going to have to I'm going to try to screen share. I'm normally decent with Google Hangouts and Zoom, but this is a little different.
Hold your breath.
So, yeah, or don't. Share screen. Don't show these steps. Share screen. Just a window? Yeah, let's just share a window. Chrome tab. That's where it's at. And we're going to go here. And I think I did it. Nope, wrong one.
No, you did it. Oh, that's your email.
Yeah, that's the wrong one. And I meant to share a different screen. So we can stop screen.
Anyone that wants to get on our StreamYard can do it because they just saw the password to get in.
There you go. Yeah, I should have clicked the one that said, "Hey, Dave." Here we go. So what this is so Two Brewers started off as a beer brewing company. Then they decided to get into the whiskey making industry as well. They make 48 barrels a year. So it doesn't sound like a high yield, but they didn't release their first whiskey until I think it was 5 or 6 years after they brewed their first whiskey. I think it was 6 years. So after they made their first whiskey. And what they do is they invented with a German company this mechanism here, which they bolt onto. So they have a 400 liter finishing still. And what they do is they convert their 2,500 liter brew kettle into a stripping still by bolting it to their invented mechanism that I just showed you there. So I thought that was interesting, very innovative, allows companies that are set up for brewing beer to also now make whiskey. So
That's
I don't
crazy.
know.
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, so they were on the forefront of invention right there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
they just use their. That's really cool.
So I believe both, or at least one of the owners. There's Bob and Alan. Bob and Alan, and I believe either both or at least one of them is an engineer. So I guess when you combine brewing, beer knowledge, and engineering, and a passion for whiskey, that's what you get. You get some really cool things happening. So And honestly, I'm super impressed by them. I am super impressed by their overall portfolio of like from 17 to 24. I bought all of like, well, actually, I think I was gifted 17 only from Two Brewers. And then I went out and bought the rest because I liked them so much. They gave me a bunch of samples. And then instead of using those samples, I'm like, you know what? I really like these. I'm going to buy them. So I bought a bottle of each. So again, if you're just joining us, the last time we were live, the video got deleted, but the peated release number 19.
That's 22 you're pointing at, isn't it?
Yeah, it might be.
You got them out of order.
I got them out of order.
Yeah.
So yeah, these two are switched. Peated release number 19. I gave an 89. Jeremy gave an 87. The 22, which was the one that won single malt of the year for the Canadian Whiskey Awards. Jeremy gave an 87. I gave an 86. And then the 24 was a single cask, 11-year-old cask strength. It's their only age stated whiskey to date. And I gave this one a 90. Jeremy gave it an 89. So all pretty big scores considering.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start over here with the 17. What do you have over there?
So I got some Shelter Points. So you mentioned that Shelter Point had tied Two Brewers for a single malt.
Yeah.
Do you know what Shelter Point half won the award?
It's the most recent double barrel, the one that was barreled in blueberry wine casks.
That will focus.
Is that the one that you have, the blueberry wine casks? Blackberry wine casks.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's got to be it.
So it says blackberry wine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I got a little bit of this. Made a little trade with a really good guy in the whiskey community. Gave me kind of like a couple kills, some Shelter Points. Traded some samples. So yeah, I've got that, and I've got, this is your bottle. This is the single cask rye that was bottled exclusively for Kensington Wine Market.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful
At
stuff.
58.8%, 100% rye. This stuff's great. This is what I'm drinking right now.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that I lent you that bottle.
Yes, and continue to forget that you did.
I know, it's so good, that bottle. So the 17, like I said, is the only one that I'm aware of that has rye in it. It's malted rye and malted barley, the release 17. And it's just got like, it's like a cinnamon bomb. It's like really, really nice stuff. 46%, which is a great ABV for this.
Think about Two Brewers, like it doesn't have that typical Canadian profile. At least some of them don't anyway.
No.
Because you're not getting that like that Canadian corn note that you get in so many. Like that's the profile that I recognize mostly from Canadian whiskey, is that corn note. But yeah, with single malt, you know, you're getting something completely different outside of Canada's profile, and it's great. They do a really good job of it. Yeah,
I agree. Peter White's just confirming our feelings toward the Shelter Point single cask rye. He says it curb stomps the Alberta Premium. Ooh. I agree completely. These guys, honestly, I think a lot of people would mistake both Two Brewers and Shelter Point for Highland Scotch whiskeys, except unless if it's peated, then like the Smoke Point, man, like it's in a Lefroy cask and it tastes a lot like Lefroy. But I digress. I mean, I'm gonna just try to stick with Two Brewers tonight, despite the fact that you're drinking Shelter Point.
Drinking their biggest rival.
You know what? I think they actually get along, and really, if you think about it, in my opinion, they're the two. Well, I've never tried Okanagan, which is another BC single malt maker, and I've had a bunch of Glenbretton. Never really been overly impressed with Glenbretton. There was a couple expressions that I liked by them, but nothing that's ever blown me away the way Two Brewers and Shelter Point has. So this release 17 for me is a solid 86. I like it. I would recommend buying it. The prices are usually pretty good depending on where you get them. Unfortunately, like the taxes and stuff like that when they come to Ontario are pretty hefty. but there is a guy out there that's selling some Two Brewers out of Ontario because he's an importer. So if you're interested, I will leave his link to his Instagram in the description below after all of this. And then I will also leave a link to Two Brewers website, as well as my buddy Mark from Liquor Lodge is selling a bunch of Two Brewers on his website right now. So if you guys are interested in grabbing those, I'll talk to him, see if he can offer some sort of discount code if you go through this channel, and then maybe leave that in the description as well. But 86 for the 17 release 17. I think you tried the release 17. You probably just don't remember because
it might have been one of those times where I tried like 9 whiskeys and it's hard to distinguish.
Yeah. Yeah. We have those nights where we're sampling, and we're like, usually we're pretty responsible in sampling baby pours, but it's easy to forget what we tried.
Some whiskeys definitely stand out. No doubt about that.
Yeah. Peter White's right. I would 100% agree with this. Glen Breton and Stock and Barrel have been stale for years. It's too bad because both of them have quite a bit in their warehouse. Like, they've been distilling for a long time now. They both could have really done well if they were picking the right casks and doing things the right way. I think Glen Breton has actually a distillate issue, in my opinion. I'm not an expert, but I do find that they don't really get the best yield out of their whiskeys. And there's a lot of like copper and bitter notes that I'm not a big fan of. Stock and Barrel, I just think they're not using the right barrels. They're using tired bourbon casks. They don't bottle at the right ABV. They're not appealing to the whiskey geek. They're appealing to the mass market, but they're too small a name, I think, to take off with the mass market. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a weird little situation with them. Richard is saying, thanks for the link in advance. Yeah, I'm going to talk to Mark and see what he can do, and then I'll put the link in the description below. Donner Pass is saying, do these smaller distilleries mash the grains together instead of making and aging the grains separately? So no, so they're not doing the traditional Canadian way where they would barrel corn whiskey separately, then rye whiskey, then barley whiskey. What they're doing is they do mash it, and they're not using anything but what you would make for beer. So they are using like roasted barleys. They're all malted barleys. They're using chocolate barleys. They're using all kinds of that kind of stuff. And there is some rye content, but legally, as long as it's all malted and run under the same distillation process, it can be called a single malt in Canada, which is kind of a weird rule, but it's allowed in Canada. They're not following any of the 9.09% rule or anything like that. They're unchill filter, no added color, and their ABVs, I've yet to see lower ABVs on these guys. They're always usually around 46 for a majority of their releases. So, or higher. There's a couple cask strengths on this table right now. Actually, I'm about to drink one. This is the release 18, which is a cask strength, and it is, I just grabbed the 19. It is a single mash. New oak has developed rich character. So there's new oak involved in this, 58%. This one was bottled in November of 2019, but it's still available, I believe, at Liquor Lodge, if I'm not mistaken.
Trinity and Sea just reviewed, I think it was batch 22?
Release 22, which is the Whiskey of the Year one.
Right.
So let's see if I have any information. I got these cool like sheets that Two Brewers sent me. Kind of like a cheat sheet guide. You know who's done a lot of reviews on Two Brewers?
Good Quig?
No, Whiskey Whistle, Mark.
Oh, Mark, yeah. I think Quig's done a couple too.
So Mark was actually the guy that kind of helped me through picking which ones I wanted. both by messaging back and forth with him, but also just watching his reviews because he's done so many and he's been with them from the beginning. Like I got into it at release 17. I only have samples of earlier releases thanks to Dave, the rep from Alberta, but release 17 is the earliest I've gone. Right. So I've tried nothing before that.
Does it tell you how many bottles are in each release?
It does. So release 17, which is the one that has a little bit of rye in it, has 1,090 bottles. The release 18, which is this cask strength one here, has 454 bottles. I should be wearing my glasses. 54 bottles. And then release 23, which is the next one that I'm going to give a mark to, is 1,170 bottles. So
what is that, like 3-4 casks?
1,170 bottles, bottled at 46%. You're looking at about 300 bottles per cask, maybe. I would think maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
But about that. So yeah, probably. In and around.
So very small batch. Yeah.
Really nice nose on the release 18. Great viscosity. It's 58%. Like I said, there is some heat. It takes water pretty well, but I'm guessing that that's probably a blend of like 7 to 9-year-old whiskey in there. So it's really nice. Honestly, I really like it. There's a new oak hit to that, which I really like. I really like that one. I'm going to give that one an 87.
Nice.
I think it's very, very good. Obviously, I hit that one pretty good, as you can tell by the fill levels on this.
Yo, Chris is saying that he did a tasting with Mark and Two Brewers. That's cool.
That is cool. Nice. Very cool. Eventually, I want to have both, the distillers. So Bob, I want to have him on the channel, and I want to also have the Shelter Point distillers on the channel as well. All really cool guys. Really, really cool guys. So if you're just joining us, 17 is an 86, 18 is an 87, 19 Jeremy gave an 87 and I gave an 89. 22 Jeremy gave an 87 and I gave an 86. I'm gonna do the 23 right now, but the 24 was an 89 by Jeremy. Yeah, 89 by Jeremy and 90 by myself. So all really good. I'm gonna do the 23 right now. So this one is a special finishes. That's the fourth one there. Special finishes. This is 46%, finished in both sherry and port barrels. 46%, bottled in October of 2020. 1,170 bottles. You can still get this, and they use their peated malt, I think, for this one because it's lightly peated, or at least some barrels from their peated malt. Chris Beaton saying that the 24 is bomb. Honestly, I think it's fantastic, to be honest with you. These are all going to be entered into my Dram Club for the month of April. Christopher Malloy, what's going on, buddy? Nice to see you. Brendan Smith in the house. Probably missed a few of you guys. Sorry if I'm talking too much. Just trying to get through these. We're going to chat in just a sec. I'm just going to get through this this release 23. So very little peat on the nose, if any, but you do get like a little bit of like a strawberry sweetness. It's really nice, actually. Something a touch vegetal in there. Maybe that's what the peat is. The 19 is more prominent, like almost Isla style peat. Like you really get that peaty note. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it had characteristics of Ardbeg in it. I think it reminded me of like that lemon note that you get with Ardbeg.
Yeah,
and then they had like that mineral note to it, that coastal kind of feel. So they're sourcing peated barley from Isla for these. Is that right?
Yeah. So all their peated malt comes from Scotland. I'm not sure if it's exactly Isla, but I'm pretty sure it's Isla, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, all their peated stuff comes from Scotland for sure.
Man.
So that's what a lot of companies are doing now. If you watch the live with Daniel from the Whiskey Tribe, he talked about it. He said a lot of companies are using the peated malt from Scotland. It's all coming from pretty much the same place.
Okay.
It doesn't say on the sheet here that the 19 was bottled in 2020, February 2020. Richard is asking what's a dram club. So basically on my Patreon, I have like technically you're not allowed to sell whiskey, sell it by the dram or whatever. So I'm not selling anything. If you choose to be in one of 2 tiers on my Patreon, I send you as a gift a mystery sample every month. And if you get them right, we play a little game with it. So if you get them right, after 3 months, you get a double sample. You get 2 samples from anything that I've reviewed that month. So it's semi-blind because if you're following the channel, you know what I'm reviewing per month. But it's difficult. Like honestly, this month, I think 1 person got it right. Yeah, there you go. Christopher Malloy saying Port Ellen maltings. I thought I remember that, but I didn't want to say Port Ellen because you would think like, wow, those guys are giving away their malt. They're like so esteemed. You wouldn't think they would, but yeah, it's Port Ellen malt. So there you go. That's the peated stuff that's coming out of Two Brewers. So cool. Hopefully that answers your question. Jeremy has something similar as well, actually. You have something going on your Patreon like that, right?
Yeah, I have the Drink My Bar, which is a lineup of really nice scotches, bourbons, rums, whatever's on my bar at the time. And Patreons have a chance to win, or the higher tiers, they get something guaranteed from that lineup every 3 months. So yeah, you can check that out.
Yeah.
Lots of good options for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So the 23, I'm going to give an 87 as well. Really good overall, easy drinking. You could sit back, relax, have a dram of this. You don't have to add any water. That's the one thing I noticed about all of these, even the cask strength ones. The only one that took a little bit more time to open up was the 18. So this one, like I said, the 23 is an 87. I really like that one. I really like all of them, to be honest with you. I think they're all fantastic.
I've noticed that I have not been adding water to my whiskey like in forever. I don't remember the last time I put water in a whiskey. I don't know if I'm just spoiling myself and drinking like too many good whiskeys that none of them require a drop of water. They're just perfect the way they are. Or if it's just, I don't know.
I think that's part of it. I think, you know what? Whiskeys are, I don't know. I don't want to say that they're being made better, but you have those cask strength whiskeys that you have to add water to them. Like they're just too hot. You know what I mean? But I haven't had one of those in a while. Actually, the only one that I've had that's somewhat like that recently is that Cavalon Madeira. That it's pretty hot. It's pretty hot at cask strength. But
you know what I think it is? Like I think it's just usually I like a little bit of like a splash of water in in a barrel proof bourbon, and I have not been drinking hardly any bourbon recently. So maybe that's it. I think I just like a little bit of water in bourbon and not so much in other whiskeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Donner's saying that there is a maltings in Inverness in the Highlands that does peated malt too, but it's milder than Isla Peat. Yeah, I do remember someone telling me, and I'm pretty sure it was either Dave or Bob. So directly from the source that it was Port Ellen maltings. That is their peated malt. So I think that's pretty cool. Actually, Whiskey Tribe does a couple reviews of Two Brewers as well, and they give a pretty glowing review on most of their stuff.
Yeah,
Whiskey Tribe really likes the Canadian stuff. They did a bunch of Shelter Points and a bunch of Two Brewers, and they've really liked them. So
the one good thing that I like about Whiskey Tribe is that they do broaden the umbrella of stuff that they try, because it seems like the fans of their show, send them a very eclectic amount of different things that, you don't see everywhere. They're very kind of bottles that are only in certain markets, and they get to kind of just display them. Like they do the big brand stuff too, but they also, like, most of their stuff is kind of oddball-ish,
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that I don't think we'll ever find, but I guess that's what's cool about them is they're bringing exposure to a bunch of companies that would not normally get that. Like, if you or I reviewed something so obscure, nobody. I mean, well, I'm gonna speak for myself. Nobody would watch that. Like, I'd probably have like 200-300 views on that video, whereas like they review something that's so obscure, but people are watching their channel mainly just for them. So
yeah, they get a lot of eyeballs. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're exposing these lesser known companies, which is awesome. Peter White said the Glenallachie 10 cask strength batch 5 for sure needs no water. He dropped off a beautiful bottle recently. So I gave him a sample of the Glenallachie 10 cask strength batch 5. He dropped off the Mr. Sam tribute, which I'm going to review very shortly because I got to give that bottle back. But honestly, if you try it blind, you're going to think you're drinking like an old version of Caribou Crossing cask strength, blended with like maybe 18 or 19-year-old George T. Stagg. Like, that's kind of what it tastes like. It's kind of funky and different, and just I like it a lot. It's really cool. So I'm going to be reviewing that one soon.
Was that an LCBO lottery win?
That's an LCBO lottery win.
Very nice.
Not cheap though. They're like, I believe they're like $400 if I'm not mistaken.
I think on secondary they go for $2,000.
I was just gonna say, but on secondary they go for stupid.
Maybe 2,500. They're up there. They're very, very sought after.
Yeah. I think you're right. And that's US if I'm not mistaken. So Donner saying recently opened the Lefroy 10 cask strength batch 12 that I got after Rob recommended it on Rant podcast. Yeah, honestly, I love that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, batch 12 is a good one.
Yeah, there may be some news that we will be hopefully able to get this in Canada in the near future, but I don't want to say anything because I'm not 100% sure it's true just yet. Yeah, Peter White saying it was $350 for the Mr. Sam tribute.
Wow. Yeah, not cheap.
Mood to Move is saying I'm still on the Glenallachie cask strength batch 2. It's excellent. He says excellent right here.
Who's done a review of the Glenallachie batch 5 already is our boy Alan.
I know. I saw that. He gave it a 94.
Yeah, huge score. He was saying don't add water.
Honestly, it does not need a drop of water. It drinks like it's 20 years old. I'm not exaggerating. Like it drinks like it's old cask strength whiskey, which blows my mind because either Billy Walker's up to his old antics, which is adding old whiskey into younger whiskey, or he just found some really, really incredible casks. Because this one, in my opinion, I can't remember what I gave the batch for. I got to go back and check. But it's at least 2 points better than the batch 4. So I'm not going to hold myself to that just because if I gave the batch 4 like an 89, I don't know for sure if I'm going to give it a 91, but it's really good stuff, man.
Yeah. Christopher has a question about recommended Canadian whiskey.
So I know almost nothing about boutique Canadian whiskey. If you were to suggest one, what would it be? Honestly, it would be if you can get your hands on batch 19, release 19 of Two Brewers, or if you can get your hands on, release 22 is very good as well. If you can get your hands on Shelter Point, Smoke Point, or Ripple Rock, those are all incredible whiskeys, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I would say if you're confined to buying out of Ontario, the new Wiser's 22 cask strength might still be on the shelves. That one is excellent. The Wiser's, the new red letter, it's a distillery only, so you have to buy it from their website, but they will ship to you, I think, still, if they have any in stock. You buy it from Wiser's website. That one's $100. I think it's a little expensive for what you're getting, but it's absolutely great whiskey.
Yeah.
So those two are probably still available if you're Ontario.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyler coming in with the super chat. Thank you very much, buddy. Says jam of the evening, Glen Alky batch 3 cask strength, amazing stuff. I liked batch 3 better than batch 4. I think I have 2 backup batch 3s because I liked it so much. I'm probably gonna have to open one and do a head-to-head with the batch 5 to see if I like it better, because that's really good stuff. I remember
I got batch 3 and batch 4 open if you want.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Steamface is saying, know any online sources for Two Brewers? I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. So liquorlodge.ca. They have a bunch. And let me know if you don't find it there, then there are other spots. I know that Kensington Wine Market might have it as well. The only thing with Kensington is you got to get UPS to get your stuff out of there, or you have to have a friend in Alberta. All right, so because they won't ship or deliver or anything like that.
Oh, he's in New York.
Oh, he's in New York.
Here in New York. I mean, the regular everyday release of Lot 40 is good, and you should be able to find that.
Yeah. So he's saying, Christopher is in New York. Yeah. That's right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So just Lot 40. I would just find that it shouldn't be too expensive. 43%. It's quality stuff. It's a good sipper. It mixes really well. You can make like an old fashioned with it, sip it on its own, whatever. It's a good utility rye.
So Christopher, if you have friends in California or Texas, I believe they have a cask strength Crown Royal down there. And I've heard great things about it. I don't know anything about it because I haven't tried it. But if you have friends, or you know what, if you call up some stores out of Texas or California, I'm pretty sure you call the right store, they'll ship it to you, and it doesn't have to cross any borders. So I can't see a problem I can't see there being a problem. Although you might want to email some Canadian stores because you might get lucky in Alberta. I mean, Redbeard is saying, so Tyler, for East Coast Wine Spot .co. Oh, he's giving Christopher an. Not sure. Also, yes, Peter White's right. There's a Crown Royal 16 rye available in New York. I haven't tried it, but I can't imagine that being bad.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Wren's in the house saying hello, Rob and Jeremy. Cheers to all. What's going on, buddy? So if you're just joining us, just to reiterate what we talked about, Jeremy and I did 3 of these whiskeys the last time we were together. So I did this 17 just now on my own, gave it an 86. The 18 I gave an 87, I think. Yeah, an 87. The 19, Jeremy gave an 87. I gave an 89. The 22, Jeremy gave 87. I gave an 86. And the 23, I just gave an 87. The 24, which is, I don't even like talking about this one because it's not fair to everybody because it'll be really hard to get. It's a single cask, 11-year-old cask strength that unfortunately, like I said, it's single cask, so it's completely sold out very quickly. But Jeremy gave that one an 89 and I gave that one a 90. So That's if you're just joining us right now. Two Brewers, like I said earlier, they're popping out 48 barrels of whiskey a year, and they didn't start releasing their whiskeys till I believe they were about 6 years old. And then I think they only barrel 4 expressions a year. So maybe they're using, I don't know, maybe 12 casks a year tops, something like that, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah. Dribs and Jams dropping a super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, if you have a friend in Calgary, KWM is great. Otherwise, try BSW Liquor. They ship Canada Post. UPS is devastating, $55 for 7 days to Quebec. Yeah, UPS. That's $55 is actually not bad. I've seen way worse from UPS. Peter White saying to Christopher, my friend in New York orders from K&L from California, or used to before. So there you go.
I've ordered from K&L before, shipped it to the States.
Yeah.
They have a good selection and good prices.
Yeah, and Tyler's saying that they say they're in New York City. I'm 99% sure I read that. All right, there you go. So a bunch of options anyway. What's coming up on Super Social Club in the next
Super Social Club, the next review will be Balvenie, the old discontinued 15-year-old single barrel ex-bourbons. I have one distilled from 1990 and one distilled from 1999. So kind of like almost a...
Did you check the ages on those? Because sometimes they're older than 15.
Yeah, one is 16 years old and the other is 15 and a bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, like almost a full decade span of their single cask. That stuff was discontinued in 2012, I believe, replaced by the sherry cask in 2014. So yeah, that's coming up next. That'll be probably Sunday or Monday, something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right on. I have a Canadian whiskey review coming out on Monday. It'll be the Wiser's Red Letter and the Wiser's 22 that you spoke about earlier. So that's coming out Monday. And then I probably, if I do what I'm supposed to do this weekend, I will record the Mr. Sam tribute. So you guys will get that review very shortly. And the Glenallachie 10 batch 5, hopefully soon as well. Although, I don't know. It's not really a race to get that one out. So we'll see. I mean, maybe I'll give it some more time to open up, see how good it actually gets, because it's already really good. I have a whole bunch sitting on my shelf upstairs as well. So I haven't been pumping out. Well, that's not true either, because I seem to have still been putting out at least 2 or 3 reviews. Well, at least 2 reviews a week. So,
and do you want to tell them what the next theme is for the Whiskey Rant?
Yeah, go for it.
So the next Whiskey Rant, we're going to be talking about novelty whiskey, gimmicky whiskey. We're going to be featuring the Glenmorangie cake on that episode. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I want to talk eventually about some schemes that are occurring in the whiskey world when it comes to the way retailers are actually treated by reps and such. So we'll save that for maybe another day, but that one's coming up as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about that and the 3-tiered system in the US and how that affects allocation.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, like what's happening out there, but again, we'll save that for the Whiskey Rant. So what's your overall takeaway from Two Brewers? How do you feel about these guys?
Very impressed, and just like generally really happy about the direction Canadian whiskey is moving into with these smaller distilleries and even the bigger distilleries like Wiser's coming out with whiskey aimed at, the whiskey enthusiasts and not just people who drink it to mix it. It's refreshing because Canadian whiskey has been seen in this light for so long, in my opinion, anyway. And now it's like, we're putting out whiskeys that can compete globally with other countries, which is awesome. So yeah, just refreshing to see the innovation and good whiskey, bottled the right way.
That's right. Yeah, it's been really cool to see Two Brewers and what they've done. I would love to know what their yeast strain is, because there is this connection between all of their whiskeys that has this like bubblegum like kind of flavor note that I really like from them. And then Shelter Point too, doing the same kind of things, grain to glass at Shelter Point, which is really cool. Two Brewers and Shelter Point share in common that they're both using glacier fed streams for their water, which is, I think, pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Both not far from mountains, Yukon Distillery, very close to the mountains there, and Shelter Point on Vancouver Island, very close to the mountains. That's where they're sourcing their glacier water. So if I were to recommend two companies that I think are doing it right and doing a great job in Canada, it's those two.
Yeah.
I like what Livermore's been doing with Wiser's, but I still feel that he's being held back. He's not able to do everything he wants to. I don't think he has free reign just yet, because they are a bigger company. I feel like, first and foremost, the dollar has to make sense, and then they allow him a little bit of creativity and that sort of thing. But I really like what he's done in the last 4 or 5 years. I think he's just scratching the surface of what he can do, and I think that they're going to get better too. But curious to try. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have tried Okanagan out of BC. If you've tried, there's another one in Alberta. It's escaping me. Maybe one of you guys can tell me if you remember what the name is. Oh no, it's Eau Claire. It's Eau Claire. So Eau Claire out of Alberta. Haven't tried anything from them. And Okanagan out of BC. I haven't tried anything of them. And apparently the Okanagan stuff is next level good too. So I'm very curious to try their stuff. Yeah, Mark, there he goes. This is the Liquor Lodge man himself saying Eau Claire, which you can also purchase at Liquor Lodge, Eau Claire. But Mark, we're going to talk about a discount code that hopefully I can put in the description below for any Two Brewers that you have to offer at your shop in Alberta. All right.
Nice.
So I'm putting the spotlight on Mark a little bit, putting a little pressure on him, but he usually comes through, so I'm not too concerned. But yeah, you know what? If you guys can even get a little bit off of these bottles and grab them at Liquor Lodge, even if you don't, the prices are very good. So I don't think you have too much to worry about. Mm-hmm. Oh, there you go. So I didn't know you were rolling tonight. Let me get it set up. There you go. So if you've stayed in, I've mentioned it earlier, but I told you I was going to talk to Mark to see if we can set up a discount code. He just confirmed it right there. So it will be in the description below. So stay tuned for that. Revisit this video just to at least get that discount code for yourself. People are asking about Shelter Point too. I'll leave that up to Mark. He'll let me know in email or whatever else. No pressure. Yeah. So you talked about what's coming up next for you. I talked about what's coming up next for me. We said we weren't going to go too long with this one. So, anything else you want to mention to these guys? Oh, we're doing the coins? Is that still a thing?
We still have to finalize the design. So we're working on it. But yeah, Whiskey Rant coins, new coin for Super Social Club will be coming out at the same time as well.
And potentially, we did a little barrel pick of these guys. Remember?
Yeah.
So we did a little barrel pick with Two Brewers, and it may like Mark's gonna do the final yes or no because it's gonna be exclusively sold out of Liquor Lodge. So it's gonna be honestly, it drinks if all works out and we get the one that we wanted. It's close to 10 years old, very close to 10 years old. Cask strength, obviously, and it drinks a lot, in my opinion, like a cask strength version of Ardbeg 10-year-old. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's got lots of elements that pull from Ardbeg's profile, especially their 10-year-old. That, like we said before, that lemon note that runs in Ardbeg, I get that in that whiskey, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's honestly beautiful stuff, in my opinion. It was you could tell. Like I had a few samples. You could just tell it was the oldest of the bunch. I nailed it. I knew that.
Yeah.
So really, really cool stuff. Yeah.
Well,
so,
we were in it was the consensus pick, right? Between the
it
two.
was. Yeah. You loved it too. We both thought it was the best of the bunch, and that's not knocking the other three because they were all really good. But yeah. So stay tuned for that. Mark's gonna give the final yay or nay, and then if that happens, then we're gonna be pumping it on the channels. But Mark's gonna be selling it out of his store, and it may be the first of perhaps what we may bleed into some sort of independent bottling company that Jeremy and I are tinkering with. We'll see. That's the end game. That's the goal, but
there you go.
We don't know for sure, so no promises. But at least for the time being, there's going to be possibly a Two Brewers single cask exclusive out of Liquor Lodge, and then after that, or maybe even before that, I'm not sure exactly timelines, but I'm doing a barrel pick with Shelter Point that's going to be sold exclusively out of Shelter Point. So just with Shelter Point. That's coming up soon. So stay tuned, guys. Lots of fun stuff.
Exciting stuff on the horizon for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whiskey A just joined us. Said, okay, I'm a bit late. What Two Brewers do I need to buy? So out of the ones that are available, I think you should buy the 19. That's this one. Release 19. The 22 won Whiskey of the Year, Canadian Whiskey Single Malt of the Year, shared that title with Shelter Point. So maybe you want to look at the 22. 23 is really good too. The 18 is very good too. It's cask strength. So if you like a cask strength whiskey, this one takes a little bit longer to open up, but now it's in the money zone. It's actually the first of the three sitting on my table that I finished. So that should say something. 17 is very good too. It's got a little bit of like a rye and barley mix and lots of cinnamon. So that's it. Eric Waite just joined, but we are taking off. Sippers in the Six Independent Bottling ? By Donner Pass. That's a pretty cool name.
We're taking that name. Thanks, Donner.
All right, gentlemen. Hope you had a good evening. Hope you're having a good evening. Hope it continues. Stay safe, everybody. We're in our fourth lockdown now. So
I don't keep track. I don't know.
Oh well. Thanks for joining me, Jeremy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.